10 p.m. on Wednesday, the 23rd of April 2015, in Newcastle County, Delaware. Delaware is a state on the East Coast region of the United States, and it's about a 3.5-hour drive south of New York City. Newcastle County is one of the most populous counties in Delaware. That evening, Sarah had just arrived for her night shift at the 911 communications center. She packs and quickly dashes into the building. It's cold outside and she forgot her coat at her other job. Once inside the well-lit office building, Sarah spends a few minutes catching up with her colleagues who tell her that they had processed over 300 emergency calls in the last 8 hours. It's going to be a busy night. Sarah makes herself a cup of coffee and settles down to work. She turns on the computer screen on her desk, puts on her headset and activates her phone line. Almost immediately, calls start coming in and her voice blends in with the other dispatchers.
911, what's your emergency?
It's now midnight. Sarah has been working for 2 hours non-stop and she needs a break. But as she reaches for the button to deactivate her line, another call comes in. She has to answer it.
911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your...
Help!
A female voice on the other end cuts in.
Help! There's blood everywhere. I don't think he's breathing.
Ma'am, I need you to calm down. Who is not breathing?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna send some help. Where are you?
There's silence on the other line.
Hello, are you there? I need an address.
Yes. 1300 Healy Court in Bear. I don't know what to do.
Hang on, ma'am. I'm gonna dispatch someone right now.
It's 12:35 a.m. and Officer Chris Johnson and his partner Tracy Hart are on patrol in Bear. Bear is a small town in Newcastle County with only about 20,000 people. Like most nights in Bear, tonight has been a quiet night for the officers. They had a few calls earlier in the evening but nothing serious. Now, all of that is about to change.
Attention all units in District 13. I have a 1067 person calling for help. Possible 1053 person down at 1300 Healy Court. Female caller. Possible male injured on scene.
10-4, Patrol 456 heading in that direction now.
Officer Tracy responds while Officer Chris turns the patrol car around and accelerates in the direction of 1300 Healy Court. The car screeches to a stop in front of the house and the officers jump out. As they approach the entrance, they notice 2 cars parked in the driveway and all the lights in the house are on. Not sure what to expect, Chris releases his pistol from the holster and rests his hands on the grip, ready to draw if needed. Tracy does the same. Tracy faces forward while she rings the doorbell and then knocks on the door. Chris is standing a few feet behind as he turns his gaze left to right to make sure the coast is clear. Seconds later, the front door opens. On the other side of the door is a woman and she looks anxious and frightened. Tracy's eyes quickly scan the area behind the woman, but she sees nothing out of the ordinary.
Good evening, ma. Did you call us? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's my husband. He's not responding to me.
Oh, okay, ma. What's your name, ma?
Mrs. Bola Oyewalis.
Okay. What's your husband's
Yemi
name?
Oyewalis.
Okay. Where's your husband now?
He's in the spare bedroom.
Is there anyone else in this house?
Yes, my kids and the nanny, but they're upstairs.
Okay, ma'am. I will need you to stay here. I will go check on your husband. Is that okay?
Officer Tracy moves down the hall in the direction of the spare room, while Officer Chris moves around to secure the other rooms on the ground floor. As Tracy walks down the dim hallway, she notices smudges along the wall, but she can't make out what they are. She could see that the door to the spare room is slightly open and the lights are on. There's a hole in the door at about knee level and she could see scratches at about eye level.
Mr. Oyewale?
She calls out but there's no response. As the officer approaches the door, she sees more smudges and this time she's sure that what she's seeing is blood. Her eyes fall on what looks like a bloodied knife laying on the floor.
Mr. Oyewale? Are you alright?
Officer Tracy calls out again, and again no response. She takes 2 steps into the room and stops.
Oh shit.
Then she reaches for her radio.
I have a 1054 possible dead body at 1300 Healy Court. I need paramedics in backup.
Laying on the bed with blood dripping from the neck is the body of Yemi Oyewali.
I am so tired of this man.
She stabbed me.
Oh shit.
Officer, I didn't kill my husband.
Oyamini is dead.
I love my husband.
Nothing in life is certain except death, taxes, and crime. Criminals exist in every community. They can be a complete stranger, a next-door neighbor, or the person you kiss goodnight. Welcome to the third season of True Crime Naija. I'm your host, John Iwodi. In this series, we bring you stories of crimes that have actually happened not only in Nigeria but across Africa. We hope that by sharing these stories, we all become a little smarter at detecting and preventing similar crimes. They say that America is a place for the haves and the have-nots. Healy Court is definitely for the haves. On each side of the road are luxuriously constructed single-family homes, and each home sits on a well-manicured lawn. The homes on Healy Court are purchased for anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million. That's around 200 million to 400 million naira at today's exchange rate. The Oyewali family lives at 1300 Healy Court, a house surrounded by a rich green lawn. Young oak trees line the periphery of the house, and the walkway is adorned by well-tended shrubs and decorative plants. Inside, the ground level of the house has distinct custom-made arch Romanesque windows that stretch from the floor all the way up to the 20-foot ceiling. A Persian rug covers the entrance and leads to an imperial staircase which parts into two smaller staircases that go to the upper floor of the house. With 5 bedrooms including a spare room on the ground floor, the house is definitely big enough for the Oyewalis. Yemi Oyewali was a pharmacist who made good money serving the people of Delaware and the nearby city of Philadelphia. In 2005, at the age of 27, Yemi's family decided that it was time for him to settle down, and he married 25-year-old Bola. Both Yemi and Bola were immigrants to the US, and they came from the same tribe in Nigeria. So their union was a match that would have been blessed by both of their families. After the pair had their traditional wedding, they settled into family life. Around 2008, they welcomed their first child, and in 2011, they had their second child. By 2013, the Oyewalis were doing well enough to move into the home on Healy Court, which they purchased for $725,000. At the time, that would have been equivalent to 145 million naira. And with 2 healthy children as a product of their coupling, they were on track to fulfill their American dream until the early morning hours of April 23, 2015. Officer Tracy leaves the dead body in the spare room and walks back to the living room where she had left Bola sitting on the sofa.
Mom, what happened in there? Mom, I need to know what happened.
I'm not sure, officer. I was upstairs and the power went out. When the power came back on, I came downstairs. I went to the spare bedroom to check on him, and I found him.
Okay. Around what time was this?
I don't know, but I called as soon as I found him.
Okay. So around 12:30.
Bola nods. At this point, the paramedics and backup police officers have arrived. Officer Tracy briefs them, and then she informs Bola that the house is now a crime scene and that the other officers will need to secure and search the house. In the meantime, Bola and the rest of the household will be transported to the police station for interrogation. At the police station, Officer Tracy hands the children and the nanny over to the custodian of the public safety building and takes Bola to an interrogation room. Tracy leaves Bola in the room and walks over to the front desk officer to ask for the number to the Delaware power station. She gets the number and calls the power station to confirm if the power was interrupted at Healy Court at any time in the past 24 hours. They inform her that power had not been interrupted at all for several weeks now. There was no power outage at Healy Court that night. Tracy grabs her jota and a bottle of water and heads back into the interrogation room. In the room, she offers Bola the water and sits down next to her.
Mrs. Oyewali, I know you're in shock right now. I just want to ask you a few questions. You're not under arrest, but you do have a right not to answer, and you do have a right to have someone else present. Do you understand those rights, ma'am? Okay. So we asked you earlier what led to your husband's death, and you said there was a power outage in the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Who else was in the house?
I think it was just me, my kids, the nanny. But I don't know what happened after the outage.
Ma'am, there was no sign of an intruder in the house. The windows were all locked. What happened last night?
Officer, honestly, officer, I don't know. My husband, he might have been suicidal. Yeah, I think so. The thing is that we were in the living room, we were watching TV, and then we got into an argument. And he got angry, and then he left. He went into the spare bedroom, and he was there. That was where the outage took. That was when the outage took place. But when the lights came back on, I went in to check on him, and that was when I found him. I found him dead.
Are you telling us that your husband committed suicide?
I don't know.
Ma'am, there was a hole in the door at the spare bedroom.
When we were arguing, he got a knife. He had a knife, and I was scared. Of course, so I ran to the spare bedroom, and then I locked myself in there. I was hoping to, give him time to cool off, but he came to the door and he was pounding on it and asking me to open the door, and I wouldn't. I was just hoping he would cool off. After I thought he had cooled off, I opened the door, but he was still mad and he started hitting me. It was at that point that I ran to the sitting room, and then the power, it went out. And when it did, I went back in to check on him, and he was laying there. He had died.
Okay, ma'am. I checked with the power station, but they said there was no power outage in that area for the last 24 hours. Ma'am, the way your husband died, he didn't kill himself.
Bola has been in the interrogation room for a few hours now, and she was exhausted and hungry. Officer Tracy had left the room to get her something to eat. Bola walks around the room to stretch her legs. She limps a bit as she walks, and she even reaches down to rub her knees. Officer Tracy opens the door and notices Bola rubbing her knees. It's possible that Bola's knees and wrists are sore because she was the one kicking and pounding at the door with a knife and not her husband. Tracy puts the Coke and chicken sandwich on the table and leaves the room to give Bola time to eat. When she re-enters the room a few minutes later, Bola had only taken a few bites, setting the rest aside. Tracy takes her seat next to Bola.
Are you ready? What happened that night?
I found some pictures on his phone, and they were... I can't even talk about it. So I took pictures from my phone. I took the pictures that I had found on his phone, so I could have proof.
Bola went on to tell Tracy that for years her husband had been cheating on her. And not just with other women, he had mistresses, but he also visited sex workers.
I'm a Nigerian. Married to me is supposed to last forever. You know, you can't just up and leave just because things are tough or because maybe one person is cheating. You know, you're supposed to walk through it and reconcile and soldier on.
And according to Bola, that's what she did.
Last year in 2014, my husband had asked me to go back to Nigeria, and I did. I came back around Christmas, and he wouldn't let me in the house. For 4 days I was in a hotel, and he wouldn't let me in the house. And at one point he booked a flight ticket back, asking me to go back home, back to Nigeria. And I had no choice, I had to. So I went back.
It was when she was away that Bola discovered that her husband had spent Christmas lying in bed with the nanny's daughter.
You know, he cheats on me all the time, with anyone. He even cheated on me with my own sister. I mean, I found photos of him and my sister.
Apart from his indiscretions, Bola noticed that her husband was starting to change.
It wasn't just the other women, you know. He said that he was acting really strange. There was this particular one photo that I found where he was holding a baby and he had an X marked on his forehead. And, you know, he had a cut-like mark on his neck.
Are you saying your husband was into witchcraft?
I don't know. But it was around that time that the beating started. That it started when I was pregnant with my kids. He would beat me up. But I stayed. You know, I stayed. Because you're not supposed to just walk out on your marriage. You're not supposed to just leave.
According to Bola, when she returned from Nigeria, he only allowed her back in the house after she signed a postnuptial agreement that turned over all of their assets to him. The agreement also included a ban on crying and that the nanny would have full control over the upbringing of the children.
I had agreed to everything that he wanted, absolutely everything, just so I could get back into the house with my kids, just so he would let me in the house with my children. And, you know, that night we had started arguing like usual, but he found out that I had taken pictures, you know, pictures of him with other women. He found out and he got so mad. So we had an argument. And
Bola's voice trails off as she stares straight ahead.
Mom.
Tracy tries to make eye contact with Bola, but Bola doesn't shift her gaze. She continues to stare forward.
Mom, was your husband abusing your kids?
Tears swell up into Bola's eyes and she drops her face into her palms and begins to sob. On the 25th of April, the day after Bola's arrest, the state of Delaware initially charged Bola with first-degree murder and possession of a weapon. After the investigation was complete, charges were later dropped to manslaughter caused by extreme emotional distress. And on September 16, 2016, she pled guilty to the manslaughter charges. In the course of the case, the court had access to video evidence that did not paint Yemi in the best light. The judge in the case even stated, "I respect the family members, but they have a vision of their brother not borne out in those videos." Bola was sentenced to 4 years in prison and was set for release in 2019. Yemi Oyewalis was buried on the 2nd of May 2015 in Pennsylvania. True Crime Naija is a Triple E Media production. Production copyright 2022, Triple E Media Productions. If you enjoyed this episode of True Crime Naija and would like to hear more, go to our website at 234audio.com to play the sample content, then download our app from the Google Play Store for even more episodes. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at 234audio to watch the video for this episode. Make sure to click the notification bell, like, and leave a comment. Our episodes can also be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment because it helps other people to find our content. This episode of True Crime Naija was written by Usamah and Rahmat Mohammed. Produced by Antonietta Kalunta and Senet Ewa. Executive Producer Rahmat Mohammed. Jade Otolulope Giwa as Bola Oyewali. Rachel Andrew as Officer Tracy Hart. Jude Polycarp Jens as Officer Karim Johnson. Special thanks to Gilbert Owen. Lighting, videography, and video editing, Uche Umba. Sound recording, mixing, and mastering, Dominic Tebakaji. Sound editing, Sam Tebakaji. Cover art by Mala Iwa Bado Ikaleku. Stay alert, stay alive. See you next week.